So in hindsight, I do appreciate Toffee a lot more. He's not my favorite villain, although I did thoroughly enjoy him whenever he was on screen, and I understand him a lot better. I guess I can use this chance to go over why I believe Toffee works so well. A few years ago, I started writing fanfics in my spare time. My favorite characters to write for were, you guessed it, villains. With villains, I remember hearing the advice that if you wanted a truly standout bad guy, it's a good idea to be sure they do 3 things. Not that you have to do this, but this has worked well for lots of people. First off, you need to make them the total opposite of the hero, meaning a foil. Obviously, they need to have some things in common, so they should act as a dark reflection of the person they oppose. For example, Luce and Ida are outspoken, free-spirited women who believe you should be free to live the life you want. Emperor Belos, on the other hand, is spooky, only talks when necessary, and wants to control everyone and everything. Star Vs. is a show that's meant to be over the top and zany. There was an entire episode where, even if they played it as seriously as possible, the twist was there's a boarding school brainwashing princesses into obedience using Clockwork Orange techniques. Therefore, I think the best Bover Star wasn't a loud, screechy loser like Ludo, but a soft-spoken, calculating sadist like Toffee. The second thing you need to do is to make sure they get the protagonist to do something they don't want to in the heat of the moment. Usually, it'll go against their viewpoint. For example, Bill Cipher got Stan to erase his memories, as it was the only way to save the universe. Yet by doing so, it helped salvage his relationship with his brother. Toffee got Star to destroy the wand, the last thing she ever wanted. Yet the confrontation does help Star learn how to use her magic without it, and deal with tougher opponents. The third and final thing is for us to see things from the bad guy's perspective. For example, what Thanos wanted was truly terrible, yet when he describes his thought process, you can't argue he's that wrong. Belos' coven system is crippling, but he did guarantee that if you follow the rules, there'd be peace and prosperity. As a result, sealing off a part of yourself doesn't sound so bad, at least in principle. Toffee wants to destroy magic. We're corrupted enough so nobody can use it. Magic in the past has been used as an instrument of destruction, particularly against monsters. Generations come and go and little to no progress happens. So I can see why Toffee wants to destroy the wand, the symbol of the oppression, instead of taking it for himself and then using it against the butterflies. Again, let me emphasize, none of this is a requirement to write a villain, but it is one way people have done it, and it helps. To me, this is the biggest reason, or reasons, Toffee was so memorable, at least from an analytical standpoint. He was the linchpin of complexness the show needed so they could have room to grow. I don't think the bigotry plotline would have worked if they kept the same tone as they did in the first half of season 1. Of course, there's also other obvious reasons, like he was just entertaining, a nice change of pace, and it was obvious Michael C. Hall had a blast playing him. Before Toffee, Star Vs. was just a normal slice of life show. Some episodes were funny, but let's be honest, it was practically a chore to get to Independence Day. Now I did like some of those episodes, like Sleep Spells or Matchmaker. Mostly, I just kept watching, hoping it would get better. And when Toffee came on the scene, I knew things would get better. I guess with that in mind, we'll get to season 2. Toffee doesn't play a big role, albeit he is in the background, waiting in the wings. Literally, Michael C. Hall is only credited for 2 episodes. Therefore, most of what I'm gonna bring up doesn't really include him, but it's still important to talk about. First off, I should discuss what happened to the other piece of Star's wand. In Storm the Castle, Star threw Ludo into a void, and after floating around in space, he ends up in a forest dimension. For 3 months, he survives in the wild, taming animals, and then he undergoes a full makeover. He wears a chip bag, and he even worked up the courage to grow a beard. Good for him, he conquered his fear. Because of the circumstances, Ludo begins having hallucinations about Star and chases them to a hillside. There, he finds something special. Notice the wand's design. It looks like something's grabbing it, and it's made of bones, and it's missing one of its digits. How odd. Back in Echo Creek, Star begins to use her wand, enjoying it for the most part. It is until the episode, aptly titled, Into the Wand, where she notices something is wrong with her magic.
Neuroblast! 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 Neuroblast!
Oh, you must stop.
Glossaryck informs her the issue is with the wand itself, so she has to go on a journey to find the problem, which I won't spoil because it's admittedly one of my favorite episodes. And honestly, I don't know how to describe some of it.
But don't worry, you'll never know the difference.
After her journey, the purpose of which is to mostly just set up other episodes, Star finds... She grabs it, and we get...
All right.
Keep this in mind.
That's kind of gross. Let's get rid of it.
You know, you could have just given it to your mom, Star. On Mewni, things aren't so bright. Glossaryck learns something is leaking magic away. Despite the MHE's diligence, they can't find the cause.
Would you miss me? No.
I mean, it's right there, guys. I should also bring up something that occurs in this episode, if only because it plays a big role later.
Eclipsa, queen of Mewni, to a Mewman king was wed, but took a monster for her love, and away from Mewni fled.
Since it's season 2, Eclipse is still an evil traitor who abandoned her people. Obviously, Star could care less.
Ooh, bad girl.
In Page Turner, she wants to look at the chapter, but Glossaryck prohibits.
It could taint you.
Okay, you sold me. I want to read that.
At rare moments, Star does a good job of capturing the reaction of the viewer. They compromise that Star can peek at the chapter, only Glossaryck gets summoned shortly after. Taking advantage of a loophole, Star and Marco look at the chapter, and Glossaryck is gone so long, she ends up reading the whole thing.
So?
Yeah.
You read the whole thing?
Yeah.
I'm sure some of you are gonna say this is a plot hole. The Book of Spells is part diary and part guidebook. It firmly establishes Eclipsa was, at worst, a selfish person caught between a rock and a hard place. Star claims she read the whole thing, and yet she acts just as shocked as anybody when she learns the truth. However, knowing Star, I'm sure she probably didn't really read it. She likely just skimmed through everything but the spells. That was the only reason she wanted to read the chapter. Back on Mewni, Ludo has no clue how to use the wand, making him unpredictable in a good way. Star is unpredictable too, but unlike him, she has Glossaryck to help harness it. Too bad she doesn't want to take advantage of having a mystical tutor at her beck and call, or a book with 400 years worth of knowledge. One day, Ludo comes to get his long overdue revenge. Around the same time, Star and Glossaryck are starting to have issues. He loses, but learns about the existence of the spellbook. Eventually, he gets it, and since Glossaryck is bound to serve whoever owns the book, he is now in Ludo's service. So, this will be interesting. Well, in hindsight, I think Glossaryck is a 4-letter D word. I do like the fact he changes his teaching style to suit his students. One of my dreams is to be an English teacher, so I think this is important for more educators to do. As he says, the job of a teacher, instructor, tutor, whatever, is to help your students reach their full potential. Everybody learns differently. Sure, Glossaryck's always big on playing mind games, but he does adjust himself, if only slightly. For Moon, he was super direct, because she became queen at an early age. Meteora, he acts like a cool grandpa, since he knows she responds well to positive reinforcement and never had a paternal figure in her life. And for Star, he has to make it all a game because he knows she learns by doing. For Ludo, he's direct and patient, like a friend. This isn't what Ludo had in mind. To Ludo, Glossaryck is his new daddy. That sounded weird to say.
Are you proud of me?
You're doing fine.
Could you say proud of me?
I'm proud of you.
It's really strange, but he does help Ludo master a spell.
Now, when you're ready, I want you to bring me that apple.
What apple?
That one.
This episode also acts like divine punishment for Glossaryck, which I'm all for. He always complained about how he never had a good student, how every queen would tell him how to do his job because their training was different, except Eclipsa, and that might only be because he helped to lock up her and her family, so she never got the chance. When teaching Ludo, Glossaryck gets a taste of his own medicine. Finally, he gets a student who actually wants to learn, albeit way too enthusiastic.
And say, good night, my darling.
You're kidding me. Good night.
My darling.
My darling.
Favorite Ludo episode, hands down. That night, Ludo talks to his wand, and it tells him there's a part of the spellbook that Star saw that he didn't, i.e. Eclipse's chapter. Like a little kid, Ludo gets offended.
What? Why didn't you show me?
You know you didn't ask. It could taint you.
Oh, I've got plenty of taint already.
That's what she said. So Ludo forces Glossaryck to open the spellbook. How anticlimactic.
I thought there'd be more
There we go.
Hello, Glossaryck.
He's back. So let me explain, because I'm sure you might not know what's going on. Toffee put his finger on the wand, and since he got caught up in the explosion, he ended up inside. His body got destroyed, but his essence lives on, playing both sides of the chessboard. Look at how he talks to Glossaryck like they're old buddies.
Time to give it up, old man.
In a way, they sort of are.
But I don't have a side.
You don't, do you? Excellent.
Yeah, nothing comes of it. Not that I'm complaining, just Toffee stays in Ludo's body and does like nothing. That's it. For now, at least. He really plays no role until the finale. Still, Moon isn't happy about Ludo having her family's second most important relic. So she and the MHC, back when they were all awesome, break into the monster temple to get it back. Despite their interrogation, Ludo is just as clueless as them.
I'm supposed to know that? This place was empty, so I moved in. It's cold out there!
I mean, he isn't wrong. The MHC try to go and find the book, while Moon attempts to reason with Ludo, even bringing up his brother Dennis.
You don't look well, Ludo. Tell me what's going on, and maybe I can help you.
Unsurprisingly, their efforts prove as fruitless as a broccoli tree.
Blank?
So hang!
Ludo's not here right now. You did not want to do that, little man!
Wait, this is what Meteora did. So, was that just limited to her because she's a hybrid? Or is that why the MHC were so scared about monsters developing magic? Because if that's it, then I sorta get why they did what they did. Moon tries to fight Toffee, but the most she can do is blow up the temple and escape with what remains of the MHC. Before she departs, Toffee gives her a message.
Tell Star. I'm coming for my finger.
Realizing Toffee is the greatest threat to magic in decades, Moon goes to Earth and tells Star they have to leave for Mewni. So that's season 2. Yeah, it sucks Toffee's only in there like twice, I guess because his actor was super busy or just plain expensive. Still, I find it great how they were able to include him without including him, if that makes sense. Like he's right under our nose, watching everything, just he's not in the story. In rewatches, I still felt his presence, but maybe this is because I knew what to expect. Don't worry, it's almost over. We just need to talk about season 3 and a little aftermath. So Star and Moon go to Mewni and travel to the Magic Sanctuary to wait out whatever Toffee has in store. Star isn't content with just hiding away, so she and Moon get into a fight. Why would a random monster scare her mother so much? Gee, I don't know, Star.
Surprise!
Even then, Moon beat him before. Can't she do it again?
I was never a cool warrior queen, Star. I was a happy-go-lucky girl. And then Toffee and his monsters killed my mother.
This is the moment I fell in love with her character. It's a tragedy what they did to Moon later. Of course, you're likely wondering why Toffee committed regicide. So once again, I'm going to have to back up a bit historically. Don't worry, it's only going to be about 300 years this time. Like I said, Solaria carried out a brutal campaign against monsters, only to unironically become one herself. This gave rise to a fierce Septarian named Seth.
How is that any better?
Seth was Solaria on the other side of the coin. Whereas Solaria wanted all monsters killed, he wanted all the humans killed. Charismatic, he gained tons of followers, most notably Toffee. I remember there was a point in time where we all thought Toffee was Eclipse's son, and there's a part in Eclipse's spellbook where she has a picture of a guy who looked like him, along with various pros and cons to dating him. So, was Toffee her boyfriend? Was he upset because he got spurned? Seth became a problem for the butterfly family, so much so that Eclipse created her darkest spell to kill Septarians. So if you're wondering, that's probably why Toffee wasn't phased with the darkest spell, since he's likely witnessed other Septarians succumb to it. As for Toffee, Meteora's lesson implies he and Glossaryck interacted multiple times, when the latter was time traveling, of course. On one such occasion, he was attacked by a monster baby who happened to have magic.
See? This is the threat of magic. This is what we're at war against.
I also find it ironic that while the Septarians wanted monsters to be free from human interference, Toffee's group is only composed of lizard monsters. Like, to get into Toffee's gang, you have to bite your arm off and have it grow back, which I'm sure most monsters physically can't do. Really sucks they didn't bring this up. It could have been used to explain Toffee losing sight of his goal. For the next 300 years, Seth was a thorn in everybody's side. Most monsters wanted peace, Seth wanted destruction, so the wars went on far longer than anybody else wanted them to. Not helping is it seemed like every queen in Telstar's grandma did nothing but sit around, play with their wands, and occasionally make babies. When Comet became queen, she attempted to establish peace with the monsters once and for all. To Comet, humans and monsters both liked food, so they deserved the chance to be at the same table. Unsurprisingly, most monsters loved her, except Seth and the Septarians. She offered him a place at the table, and he said he wanted her dead. Tragically, she wasn't deterred. At the peace treaty signed signing, Toffee, who was one of the most influential monster generals, went rogue and killed Comet on Seth's orders. In Moon the Undaunted, we see the aftermath of this, except Seth is strangely not mentioned or referenced. Like, yeah, Toffee was the one who did the deed, but he was acting on the command of somebody else. You should be punishing 2 people, not 1. Wouldn't you want to bring that detail up? Moon can't decide on war or peace treaty, so Glossaryck gives her the idea of going to Eclipsa. I mean, if you ask me, they should try to hunt down Toffee, punish him for what he did, and then go from there. But hey, I'm no queen. Those suspicious of Eclipsa, Moon is undaunted, presses on, makes the deal, yada yada yada.
I wish to speak to the general.
Silence.
So, Toffee's wearing the skulls of butterfly family members, meaning Comet probably wasn't the only royal he's killed, and this was on Disney. Even if you go with he just took regular skulls and painted cheek marks on them, the implication is still there. If not, he also desecrated corpses, which is also bad. And yet they wouldn't let the Owl House have a 3rd season because it didn't fit in with their brand. Yeah, that checks out.
Hello, princess.
Dude, this dude is like the king of salt. He puts Pearl to shame. Moon gives Toffee 1 chance to surrender, and you guessed it, he refuses. So Moon tries the darkest spell.
I call the darkness unto me, from deepest depths of earth and sea, to summon forth a deathly power, to see my hated foe devoured. Ah!
Seeing as how Eclipsa wasn't Queen of Darkness for nothing, Moon aims for Toffee's finger, instead of his heart.
Enough of this.
Have you learned nothing? It's not growing back!
After this point, Moon continued the war on the monsters, and Seth died. Yeah, you heard me right, the immortal monster died. They never say this was because of old age, or if Moon killed him on her campaign, or if he got sick, or what. I mean, I doubt she killed him since they act like Moon only did the spell once. Nevertheless, 1 question persists. Why? Seth is probably the most interesting part of the Book of Spells. He's in more than 1 chapter. He's responsible for many of the events that happen, like Eclipsa running away, like Ludo's family lording over the monsters, and yet he doesn't exist in the show. He never gets a mention. He doesn't even appear in a flashback. You included Ronaldo for a reason. He gets his own episode. Why don't they mention Seth? Okay, I'll finish this rant later, so let's get back to season 3. Inside the monster temple, Ludo wakes up.
My hand is a wand? Wand hand. I have a wand hand.
I'm surprised he's more concerned about the fact the wand is in his hand and not the fact he's missing half a finger. Because Toffee's inside Ludo, he technically owns the Book of Spells, so Ludo can't write in it. Toffee Wand keeps telling him to go to the Butterfly Castle, but Ludo is determined to complete his own chapter. It seems because of this transfer of power, Glossaryck is acting more like a D-word than usual, since he no longer has to pretend to be nice.
I hurt in places I didn't know I had.
You know, there's a spell in the book that would fix that. Oh, wait. Oh, never mind.
Losing his patience, semi-justifiably, Ludo throws the book into a fire.
I love you, book. I do. I love you. And I'd be honored if you let me write in you.
Ludo, at least buy it a scotch and soda first.
You know, even though I knew this was coming, it's still kind of a surprise.
Don't worry, according to the spellbook, this happened like 4 times. Fittingly, Toffee comes back and wishes Glossaryck goodbye.
Well, Toffee, looks like you finally got him to do what you wanted.
I didn't want this. This was all Ludo.
Wait, so was Glossaryck in on this? Did Toffee tell him act as mean as you can, or did Glossaryck just do it because he's a 4-letter D word? I lean more towards the second option, but hey, it's fun to wonder. With Glossaryck gone, Toffee Wand finally gets Ludo to go conquer Mewni. Not holding back, having magic literally in the palm of his hand, and Star not being present, Ludo is a force of evil to be reckoned with, and his campaign is swift, or at least he takes over the castle. Wanting is much better than having. So as king, Ludo commissions art and music honoring him. And thanks to the wand, he gets rid of anybody who opposes him, be it River for not submitting, or a youth choir for being slightly off-key. Star arrives and tries to tell Ludo he's being manipulated, but Ludo is too drunk on power to listen.
You're Princess of Mewni and you don't even know Lepertotto?
She doesn't even know basic magic. While Star gets sent to the dungeons, Ludo begins to ruminate and decides she might have a point. Finally willing to listen, Ludo summons Star, who fills him in on what happened. wand.
You said something earlier about my, W-O-N-D.
It's corrupted by Toffee. He's in the wands, Ludo.
I don't want to be corrupted. I don't want to be corrupted.
Fortunately, we know there is a way to stop the wand.
Ludo!
Why was Ludo not mush? Is it because his body's part of the wand, so he himself isn't alive? Or, like always, am I just looking too deeply into it? Star ends up surviving, albeit she ends up in the wand, just as she predicted. Inside, she comes face to face with...
Hello, princess.
You don't know how much I gasped when I first saw this. And I watched Battle for Mewni live on Disney XD. It seems Toffee kept busy this whole time, corrupting all the magic around him, with only brief glimmers here and there.
Wait, is all this goop you? Ew, 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 ew.
Wait, so are they in the wand or the realm of magic? Or is the wand connected to the realm of magic? Possessing Ludo once again, Toffee tells Moon if she gives him back his finger, he'll give back her daughter. And he's back.
Yeah.
Ugh, poor Ludo.
Where's Star?
Honestly, this moment didn't really shock me, mostly because you and I both know they are not gonna kill off Star. I was a little shocked he didn't honor the agreement, since Storm the Castle showed he did follow his word, unless maybe he just gave Marco back because he didn't need him anymore. Of course, the others are not happy with this outcome. Props to you, Marco.
Burning coal to summon forth a deadly power to see my hated foe devoured!
I did like the detail that the veins got bigger, even if the spell didn't work. It showed the magic wasn't totally gone.
Just tell me, did I have any part to play in this?
No.
Okay, that's a complete and total lie, but boy, Toffee's as spicy as a pepper. Give this guy an award. Somewhere in the realm of magic, yeah, I'm pretty sure that's where she went, Star finds one remaining piece of pure magic, and in her efforts to get to it, drowns inside the gobs of corruption. Now this scene actually terrified me. I know what I said. Star's the main character. Of course she's gonna survive. But drowning is actually one of my biggest fears. Simply because you can't control the ocean. And even if you're not in the ocean, there's a million other ways. So I felt Star in the scene. Especially watching her struggle with nobody around to help her. Passing out, she ends up in the afterlife, or Glossaryck's world, or a dream, or the part of the wand where the queens end up.
Hey, Star! Does this need salt? I have no idea. No one's ever been here before.
You know what? I probably shouldn't look too deeply into this. Of course it's happening inside Star's head, but why on Mewni should that mean it isn't real?
No, I am totally dead.
Most accurate version of me in about 60 years. Oh boy. In the heat of the moment, pun intended, Star recognizes it's just another one of Glossaryck's tricks.
So stop being foolish and eat the soup.
No. I get what you're doing.
I mean, there was that entire episode where Glossaryck used the analogy about stew to describe magic.
Dip.
Did I tell you third-degree burns are another fear of mine? Thankfully, Star comes back, bigger and better than ever, and ready to smite Toffee, who is walking off to do who the hell knows. I love the fact Star has a smile on her face while she blasts him. It's super violent yet cute. Alright, well that's...
You think you won?
So, spoke too soon.
Only I know how this all turns out.
It turns out you're dead.
Yeah, this is like never brought up again. Toffee's just gone. On the bright side, his death frees Eclipsa, but this is the last we ever see of him. True, there's that scene in Meteora's lesson, but it ultimately amounts to nothing. Toffee has like zero bearing on the plot. Star never thinks back to him except for the occasional callback. They imply he might come back, and it never happens, or amounts to anything. I remember when the show was still airing, we all had our own theories. Maybe Toffee's words inspired other monsters, because as Mina put it, the extremist wit, and I say this in air quotes, good ideas will never really die. Mina talks to a rock and conveniently ran into Star. Maybe Toffee's essence was somehow in the rock? I even heard somebody comment that perhaps Star had a total 360 as a character because the corrupted magic she swallowed had Toffee inside of it, and he was still playing his tricks beyond the grave. Heck, maybe he'd appear in a flashback episode or Eclipsa knows about Toffee. Again, nothing. And this is a terrible tragedy considering how the show ends with Star destroying magic. You know, the deed Toffee wanted.
Poor little butterfly. You've lost your wings.
I could say the whispering spell. Inside the realm of magic.
This was what the show was building up to. It's strange that's it. They never wonder why Toffee wanted this. They never wonder what he was gonna get out of it, if he even had other followers. They never see it from his side. Star just prematurely decides.
I guess this means Toffee was right.
Surprise!
And even that, they skipped over Star coming to a super interesting realization. She was pretty much just mad about magic because of Moon. It was so rushed. Besides, Toffee could have still been included in the events of the show if he survived, but they somehow brought magic back. He makes deals with people. Maybe he tempts Eclipsa with the power to bring Glopcore back. He implied the two had history, and the spellbook says Toffee wanted violence and Glopcore wanted peace, so it'd be cool to see the two square off. Maybe he's the one who gets Meteora to go on the rampage by acting like her best friend. They both hate the butterflies, and the enemy of my enemy is my friend. Or he campaigns as a monster politician now that Ludo's parents are impoverished, and perhaps he wins, so now Star has to put up with him, Glad Master style. Maybe he comes back after Coronation, and since Eclipsa did nothing about the monster that killed Moon's mother, Moon could get incensed, and this could be why she creates the Solarian army. He could have made peace with Star when it came to destroying magic, or helped her accomplish it. Starverse is all about betraying the story from both sides, and yet we only get extremism with one side. I hate how many unanswered questions there were with Toffee. The biggest for me was motivation.
What's my motivation?
Forget the motivation, just say hi!
What was he gonna do if he got rid of magic? Raise an army to conquer Mewni? Just go home? Order some pizza and watch Lucifer? Why did he wait so long to get revenge? Why didn't Moon lock him up and throw away the key? And I wasn't gonna do this, but a few people did ask, so I guess we can discuss Seth. What was his motivation? Was he like Megatron, where he might have had a point, but war brought out the worst in him? Or did he really not care, and he just took advantage of a crisis for power? How did he persuade Toffee and all those other monsters? What happened to him? And what happened to all the Septarians? The only one we see outside of Toffee on the show is Rastakor, and the two never interact. Did Rastakor disagree with Toffee? Is that why we only see the two together in flashbacks? Seriously, Star having to battle not just Toffee, but Toffee plus his master plus an army of lizard monsters would have been better than Mina. And that was Toffee, who went from one of the greatest characters to a complete and total wasted opportunity. Wow. I didn't expect this video to be that long. If you're wondering, this script was like 63 pages. After doing this video, I want to say thank you guys. I now appreciate Toffee much more. It is truly a tragedy what happened to him. If you want a show about Toffee done right, check out Transformers Prime. And hey, let's all be glad Toffee didn't fake his death and became a lumberjack. Imagine the outcry if that happened.